Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of R. I'm your host Moon616 and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yeah, day 7 is here and we are officially through the first week here on the series. And I'm going to take it all the way back to 1973 with a Spanish film that was actually done in English, so no subtitles here. Directed by Eugene Martin, who is responsible for directing Horror Express. Absolutely love that film. And this one is called A Candle for the Devil. More commonly known as It Happened at Nightmare Inn. I know that movie had DVD release, but it was cut, and this is the fully uncut version by Scorpion Releasing, so it's always nice when these movies come out uncut. But getting to the plot of this one, basically centers around your two religious sisters by the names of Marta and Veronica. They own this little hotel inn type deal, and they really can't stand when people, like their younger guests, like more of their foreign guests, which would be their American guests and things like that, don't really have the same morals as them. So when they've decided that they're bad people, they start killing off their guests one by one in particular ways and stuff like that. So that's basically the whole synopsis of the film. We have a parallel subplot involving this girl played by Judy Geeson. She, in the beginning of the film, she goes to meet her sister there, who unfortunately was, Judy's unfortunately told that her sister has, left that previous morning and stuff, but she doesn't buy that from the sisters at all because, she was supposed to meet up with her there. So she sticks around to investigate while these people that she meets start to disappear one by one. Same story, apparently they left that previous morning. And yeah, so kind of got these parallel storylines happening in the film. Now, my thoughts on this one. Now, this film right here is very much of the times. 1973 European horror, Spanish, this one particularly from Spain, is definitely a product of its time. There's a lot of things in this film that they did that you couldn't do in film nowadays, just like, a lot of things that we do in film now you couldn't do in these type of films. But these type of films always kind of stick out for what they are, because it's a very, I don't know what you want to call it, not just product of its time, but the structure of this one is very typical. It starts out really good. It's got a paper thin storyline. The middle kind of drags out a little bit, with a lot of development stuff. And then it has an ending that's usually either, very anticlimactic or very shocking. This one kind of falls right in the middle. It's a very well-made film, I have to say. The acting is really good by the sisters, played by Aurora Batista and Espenza Roy. They do such a good job in this film. The older sister, played by Aurora Batista, she's very, very diabolical in this film, and her younger sister is she's kind of the torn sister. She's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. She follows her sister, but she's not really down with the whole killings and things like that, and she's kind of got a little bit of a wild side to her. So there's a nice little thing going on with the sisters there. A nice little contrast with the sisters. So I really like that in the film too. Very cool stuff. But yeah, but this film, very well acted. It's got some pretty decent atmosphere to it. The set pieces are really good. The cinematography is awesome too. I love the hotel that they shot in, especially the basement scenes in this. Very creepy, atmospheric, and I love the vats that they use in this. They have these huge wine vats in this basement that are just fantastic. You got to climb up on ladders, go in there, and they're just like jugs, but just ginormous jugs. They're really, really cool. But with a film like this, it's got such a basic storyline that it kind of just gets repetitive a little bit. More guests come in and they start getting picked off one by one. Now you're kind of going, now where is this going to go? How are they going to get caught? And things like that. So a film like this, it basically all comes down to that really amazing ending, if it's going to have one of those things. This one right here, I find that the ending is very anticlimactic. I haven't seen this movie in years, but I still feel like the ending just is so abrupt. It's almost too abrupt for its own good, but it's not a bad film by any means. Some really interesting things about this film. Like I said, it's definitely a product of its time, being European from 1973. There's a scene in this film where the younger sister, Veronica, she's outside and she's kind of watching these boys, they're going swimming in this lake and stuff. Well, the cinematography in that scene is just so blatantly disgusting. It kind of focuses on like the 10, 11-year-old boys' penises and their genitalia areas and stuff, and it's naked. Like they're just like these little kids and stuff, and I'm like, wow, that is shit that just could not happen in cinema anymore. So, you know, it's very much of the times, you know, it's crazy. It's shit you don't see in film anymore. It's not shit that I want to see. I'm assuming that was probably cut out of the other version. I can't quite remember. You know, and same with some of the gore in this one. You know, this is a type of film where you're expecting probably some pretty nasty kills and things like that. And that's one thing you do get in this film. And I like the idea of the two sisters doing these killings because, you know, it's kind of offbeat. You know, for any type of film like this, you would assume that it would probably be a guy doing these killings. But these are like women in their late 30s, early 40s that are doing these killings. And it just kind of comes off. And I'm sure at the time, it was probably quite shocking to the audience too, having these kind of mid-level 40s women doing these killings and things like that. And the way they're doing them is kind of vindictive, it's diabolical at times because they're just killing based on their own moral scale, which I find quite interesting at how they're doing it. They're killing off like these 20-year-old women and things like that. There's one scene in the film where they come to realization that they may have fucked up, and I really like that scene. But, you know, all in all, man, it's not a bad film. Like I said, very well acted, good atmosphere, pretty cool music. The music in the film actually kind of reminds me, you can hear it in the background right now, it reminds me of this Western I seen a little while ago. The music's almost very similar to it. It's kind of strange. Yeah, some cool stuff, man. I don't know, man. I don't really want to say too much else about the film, but if I had to rate this one, I'd probably just give it roughly about a 5.5 out of 10. It's not the greatest film in the world, but it's also not a bad film either. It's not terrible by any means. I just wish that there was a little more action in the middle of the film. It just seems like it slows down so much and gets a little bit repetitive that it's kind of like, okay, we need something else to kind of bring out that third act. But yeah, you know, not so bad. You get to see, I think, Esperanza Roy's boobs in this film. I think she's like 38, 39 years old. And it's quite, again, you know, it's shocking to see older women showing their boobs off and things like that. I say older, I just turned 36 and I'm saying 38. But even from that level, you know, you just don't see it too often. But yeah, Candle for the Devil. Check it out, man. It's not a bad film. If you like this, you know, kind of sleazy, it's not even that sleazy, really, European horror from this time period, give it a shot. Not a bad film, though. So that is going to do it for day 7 here on the 31 Days of Horror. And as usual, I will check you guys later, and peace!